Namaste, and welcome to our continuing series on homeopathy with our beloved Dr. Pachegaonkar. Namaste, sir. We had covered 4 of these senses, and today we're on the last one, taste. Quite a bit to say here.
It's very interesting. The taste is a sensation which is mainly in the oral cavity. Our tongue is very much rich. Thousands of papillae are there on tongue. Those are ridges on tongue. And each papillae has buds, taste buds, in hundreds. Like each papillae has taste buds in hundreds. And each bud has so many nerve receptors, neurons, which as soon as we eat or our tongue comes in contact with some food stuff, with saliva it gets dissolved and then it has a chemical reaction with the taste buds, and those through nerves that is sensed by our body, analyzed and sensed by our system in brain. Mainly there are 5 tests, popular tests, pure tests, which is like sweet, sour, salty, bitter, and then savory. It is a combination of spice and all. Few people consider these 4 basic tests, because savory taste again is a combination which has no sweetness but spicy taste and salty taste in between. But body has wonderful capacity to even get identified or recognize various flavors which are produced by each foodstuff. So as we see in colors, that there are 3 basic colors, but then you get millions of shades because of the combination of these 3. Same way, the combination of these 5 tests, our body can identify the food stuff or the variety with the taste, and body keeps memory of it. For example, like how a typical guava fruit, how the pomegranate tastes, how the jaggery tastes.
It remembers that.
It has the memory. So maybe it has the combination of sweetness, bitterness, salty, as well as sour, and that specific combination is remembered, and from that body can make out what it is. Not only there are some shades of tests which body recognizes, and if there is deficiency, body starts relishing those things. Our system starts relishing. For example, we have seen a female during pregnancy needs more calcium. A sort of a calcium deficiency is there during pregnancy. That time the female starts relishing things which are tasting like rich in calcium. So they would crave for slate pencil or chalk or even earth containing more calcium. So it's a very useful tool. So body starts relishing things which body needs it.
Releasing them how?
Relishing in the sense likes the taste, recognizes and
relishing them.
Relishing the taste.
Okay. Yes.
So like a calcium rich thing and even bitter things body starts liking if body needs it. And with these combinations body can differentiate. Then suppose it is a rotten food which is not good, so from taste itself, from flavor itself, our tongues can sense that this is a spoiled food, so immediately we don't eat it. So it's a wonderful tool, the taste. But there are some diseases or illnesses where this gets altered, like we have experienced in this COVID-19, the recent pandemic we had. And in 50% of the cases who had COVID infection, they lost the taste. So they couldn't test whether it is bitter or sweet or this. They just lost the sense of taste for a while during the peak period of disease. And once we could see that as the person starts getting the test, that means the person is recovering from COVID. So was even olfaction. Smell also got affected. Same way the taste got affected. Like suppose someone needs a salt more, the salty taste person starts relishing again, so craves that salty taste and takes it, especially the people with low blood pressure. They may start relishing things which have more salt. We have seen some endocrine defects where the child starts longing for salt, and on that very longing for salt indicates that there is endocrine disorder in the system. So depending on, and in homeopathy we have all these tests, what we call likings and dislikings or cravings and aversions. Based on that we have characteristic drugs which have the affinity or craving for certain tests. So we have people who like sweet taste as well as salty taste, then we have a remedy. People who like sweet taste but don't like salty, we have a remedy. So same way, the taste actually indicates the whole health profile of the person.
But why does there need to be a remedy?
See, it is not, it is, we don't say it is abnormal, but at the same time, suppose for example we are matching a phosphorus as a remedy for the person for different complaints, not necessarily for the test we are treating. We are treating a person, say, for having bleeding tendency, and ulcer and bleeding ulcer. It can be duodenal ulcer, it can be gastric ulcer, and we are, or even retinal hemorrhage we are treating. And while treating it, then we take the totality in that this person, phosphorus person, will have excessive craving for salt. So we are not treating this craving for salt.
Got it. Yes.
But it helps us in characterizing the remedy and arriving at the remedy. So as a homeopath, the cravings and aversions test wise help us in shortlisting the remedy based on these things.
I'd like to ask about poison. Years ago, in the early days of the Matrimandir, one of our cooks found a lot of mushrooms and cut them up and ate them himself. And they had to rush him to the hospital and have his stomach pumped. The taste buds cannot tell poison?
Yes, depends. Like what happens, we don't have the experience of tasting those poisonous mushrooms. But if one has tasted it earlier,
okay.
then one will be able to make out that it is the same thing. But unless you are trained or you have a sublethal dose or a very little dose, and of course there are people who are not much aware of these faculties, they don't heed to it. And moreover, when you prepare the vegetable, lot of spices are added where the original taste of the stuff is draped.
Yes.
And directly it is entered in your system, and when the poisonous things are absorbed and then toxic symptoms come, you realize it. We are not eating plain mushroom vegetable, like they add lot of spice to it so that the original taste of the stuff is draped because of the spices, and therefore you can't make out. Otherwise, the first bite should definitely give you indication whether it suits you or not. But generally, if and mushrooms, there are poisonous varieties, deadly poisonous varieties.
Now, about chilies. I don't like them at all. And the moment I taste one, I say, that's not for me.
Right.
Are they good for you?
See, chilies In general, they are rich in nutrition also, though they are very pungent and cause local burning.
Local burning, yes.
Yes, they are pungent. But at the same time, chilies contain a lot of vitamin C also. A lot of vitamins are there, so it is beneficial also. Not only that, to moderate extent, if pepper is there, chilies are there, moderate extent, then it induces salivation also, and it's a very pleasant taste if it is in moderate quantity. But if it is excess, definitely it causes erosion and burning in oral cavity. Not only oral cavity, if it proceeds further, it can cause burning even up to the end. Even rectal burning, we have
I
seen that
see.
people get on next day, though the nerve supply of small intestines and all doesn't permit burning with capsicum, unless it what we call hyperacidity is, more acid is secreted in response to these chilies. But in normal course, if you eat a very little quantity of capsicum, chilies, then it should be neutralized by excessive, enough salivation. It gets diluted and it becomes palatable.
I had a dinner with a friend, and it was chicken, and it was quite spicy. He said, "You take it with mayonnaise, and that will counter the taste."
It
And
may
it did.
counter the taste in the oral cavity, in mouth,
Yes.
but then it will start showing up somewhere else where it is not countered. Definitely, we have
Yes.
seen people, they happily eat, because it is mixed in such a way that the chilies that they can happy, it becomes palatable, because the taste is neutralized here in the oris. But the next day they get burning. We get
Ah,
rectal burning
I
with
see.
that. We have cases where it starts burning and then it's miserable. It may, the burning may last for hours with that.
So the taste cannot detect that?
No, that's what. It is sometimes draped with all these elements where it is countered. So always it can't be. And then as age grows, these taste buds or the neurons, they get atrophied.
Ah, interesting.
So it won't be like younger people. And therefore you won't perceive the gravity of the taste as the age advances. Or there are conditions like glossitis, suppose there is inflammation, so even if something is not strong or pungent, you may get burning. Even with drinking water, you may get burning. It's all ulceration in the mouth which makes it more sensitive. So it is like altered sensitivity of the oral mucosa which causes it. But the taste buds are like 90% on the tongue, on the dorsum as well as the, but some are there even in the palate, the whole oral mucosa, even up to throat. You have all taste buds, though they are
Up
less
to
in
the
number.
throat.
Yes, but the density is more on tongue.
In the front of the tongue,
Yes, it's actually the two-third. Front two-third
two
is more,
thirds.
even one-third also has, but less.
Wonderful. Anything else to add?
That's what, like, the sense of taste helps us in relishing food. Not only that, recognizing it, even the validity, whether the food stuff is stale or fresh. But one has to have the knowledge, like how the stale, you can't describe how the stale food would taste or how the fresh food would taste. One has to just experience and be aware of it. It's mainly the awareness and the experience can guide you in the test.
Very true. Because let's say you have a biscuit and it's been sitting around for a while. That staleness you taste immediately.
Yes, immediately. Even the minutest quantity, if you test,
Yeah.
and then your test buds will definitely carry the signal, analyze it, and promptly tell you whether you should consume it or not.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. Namaste.